start doing a bit, and then this one. Okay. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. So today is Tuesday, the 20th of February, 2024. And it's auspicious Baimi Ekadashi. And tomorrow is Varahadev's appearance day. The next day is Nityananda Trayodasi. So very auspicious week we're having. So we'll sing a kirtan and then we'll go straight to our Jaiva Dharma. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Aradhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Gaura Prashtaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshaviti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Ya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai. Oh Jaya Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari. Oh Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Oh Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhabika Giridhari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Sachinandana Gaurahari Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimat Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimat Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaura Kishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Srila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Varantaracharya Ki Jai Jai Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsadi Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Si Gahol Si Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Antadweep Mayapur Simantadweep Gautandweep Madhyadweep Koladweep Ritujit Janadweep Motandweep Budadweep Atmaka Navadweep Dham ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Govardhan Dwadasa Varmatmika Shri Brajamandal ki jai. Shri Radha Kund, Shama Kund, Ganga Jamuna Devi, Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani ki jai. Shrimati Yogmaya Punamasi Devi Maharani ki jai. Gopishram Mahadev ki jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra ki jai. Ketra Mandal ki jai. Jai. Sarva Vigna Vinashakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan ki jai. Bhakta Prava Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Charidam ki jai. Shari Sampradaya ki jai. Charya Charya ki jai. Akara Mat Raj Shri Chaitanya Mat ki jai. Devana Keshavji Gaudiya Mat ki jai. Grantaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagat Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Priya Swarupe Daita Sarupe Prema Sarupe Sahajavi Rupe Nijana Rupe Babhueka Rupe Tatana Rupe Swavilasa Rupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunavaratino Kalo Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundara Tutikatam Vasadipita Sadahridare Kandare Swadatu Vasachinandanaha Yam Pravajantamanapetyam Apetikritiam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Mayatayo Tarabo Vinidustam Sarvabhutam Ridim Munim Anatoshmi Bhaktiya Vihina Aparada Lakshai Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanarabindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Baradram Tato Mamanasti Katyana Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvayivina Iti Vignaya Rate Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam. I first of all offer millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazaraji Shimad Shila Bhaktivedanta Swami Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. And the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazaraji Shimad Shila Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada. And unto our dearmost Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namane Gauda Shakti Swarabhaya Rupanuga Vraite. And to our glorious Rupanuga Guru Vargya and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhevija patitanam pavnebhyo Vaishnavena namaha. So now we're coming to our 12th chapter. Which is a pivotal chapter, a very special chapter. It's the end of the section on Sambandha, and it's the last chapter before the second division. So we'll chant our Falshruti, and I think that we're up to the first 5 today, because yesterday we didn't do. Pritivita yata kata dharma namechale bhagavata kahe shabai paripurna chale.
As indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter and second shloka, all the philosophies on earth that are celebrated as dharma are utterly deceptive.
They're utterly deceptive because the conclusion of the 4 purusartas that were known to man is moksha, or liberation. And in the state of liberation, there's no sambandha, there's no relationship with the Supreme. So that is an impersonal conception of moksha. It's just simply liberation from this material suffering. It's not bhakti. Neither it's certainly not bhav bhakti. So we go to the second verse. Chade dharma chadikara satya dharma mati chaturvargya tyaji tarat nitya prema gati.
One should completely abandon such deceptive dharmas and observe his mind in true dharma. In other words, one should give up the fourfold goals of material life, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and aspire solely for the ultimate destination of Nitya Prem.
In order to do this, we have three types of bhakti. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes, and I've mentioned many times, sadhan bhakti, bhav bhakti, and prema bhakti. This klesh agni shubhada. This is meaning that the sufferings are um, um, purified in the heart. Klesh agni, they're actually incinerated. Klesh agni shubhada, and it's a very auspicious state of consciousness for the jiva. But if the sadhak is not immersed in the conclusion of bhav bhakti, then where is his progress going to be? Unless we're focusing on bhav bhakti, what are we doing then? Then it's just simply spinning around in the Vaidhi Marg region. And what is this bhav bhakti? The principal quality I was saying today is that it is devoid of the desire for liberation, or the desire for liberation becomes completely insignificant. Moksha lukutat krit. This is how Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti describes it. So that mood for liberation. So do we want that place? Have we changed our goals from desiring to be happy in this world in all kinds of different ways? This is actually indicating that I want liberation. Beyond liberation is to desire to have the impression that liberation is really insignificant, not even worth looking at, to look on it with disdain, to look on it as completely inferior. So we can gauge our development by that mood alone. How much are we deeply, I'm not talking about what we say to people and so on, but what actually is in the heart, where the material desires are flowing constantly. Is it to be happy in this world? Have we realized Sambandha Gyan yet? Have we realized the identity of the soul in relationship to Krishna, in a loving relationship of service to the object? If it's relationship to the object of service, then there's no more desire in this world. Certainly not liberation. Liberation is so these um, purusartas that we're referring to, dharma, artha, karma, moksha, these are all limited to the material world. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in 2 verses, is completely rejecting these. Actually, in many verses, he rejects this. But this is indicating what this incredible Jaiva Dharma is going to offer to us. Not about anything material at all. It's only focused on the well-being of the spiritual entity within the material body. Amitva me mamsa brahme nija jati buddhi nirvishesha brahma gyan nahi chita shuddhi.
Those who are deluded identify themselves with matter. That is their error. However, one cannot be purified of such delusion by endeavors for Nirvishesh Brahmagyan.
So nirvishesh brahma gyan is like the state of moksha. It's practically non-different to moksha. That's what it means. Nirvishesh brahma gyan, that elimination of all material sufferings, and I just merge into that place of shantaras, where there's no relationship with the Supreme. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma na sochati na kanchati. There's no more suffering, there's no more lamentation, there's no more hankering. And we've described many times it's what any spiritual school that is not following the pure teachings of the Vedas, that's what they're aiming at. You see so many spiritual groups and they're all aiming at shanti, shanti, shanti. They want to be peaceful, of course, because the world's so much polluted with aggression, etc. But this is not the goal of the bhakta, not at all, not at all. If we moved into that area, where would our relationship be? In opportunity to serve and bring pleasure to Krishna, to bring pleasure to the residents of Vrindavan. There's such a universe of difference. And this is what the devotees first realize when they come to this path. They realize this distinction of seeking our own pleasure to seeking the pleasure genuinely, like the gopis. The gopis are even feeling yatte sujata charanam braham. They're feeling that Krishna walking in the forest, his feet will be hurt. This brings them great pain. Yatte sujata charanam buruham staneshu bita shanai prayetati mehi karikasheshu. This is the last verse of the Gopi Gita. And they're thinking that Krishna is going to be pained by the sharp pebbles and grains on the path. And this brings them great anxiety. We get a window into their extraordinary affection and dedication to Krishna, that person. That's our goal, to pick up this mood of pure seva, pure bhakti. Has nothing to do with me. I'm not even in the picture. The gopis are not thinking what is best for themselves in any sense. Even when they run to the forest when Krishna plays his flute, they don't even dress themselves completely properly, because they're only thinking about Krishna's called them, he's playing his flute, he's called them, and they're running to satisfy his calm, his pleasure. That's all they're thinking about. That's called bhakti. If it's anything less than that, then it's karma yoga or gyan yoga, or aiming for the nirvishesh Brahm, like this is described. So we have to examine our own particular universes that we individually live in. We can hear the instructions externally, but then we have to assimilate them internally and what we call realize them, have some realization of our true. And no two people think the same. So we can't just follow in a big group and think, yes, I'm going to get to the highest conception by following this group or following that group or following this group. It'll come back at the end to your heart's connection with Krishna on an individual basis. What is your personal rasa with Krishna? Every individual in existence has a totally individual, perfect rasa with Krishna. That's what Krishna wants to taste. There's no one in existence with the same rasa that you have. That's what Krishna wants to taste. So how is that going to manifest? By reflection and internal examination of our own consciousnesses. Ivitritrata hina hale nirvishesha hoy, kala simutulya seya aprakrita noy.
The Mayavadi thinks Sri Krishna to be subject to the limitations of time, such as birth and death, and considers that he is not transcendental. Thus, he rejects Sri Bhagavan's Vichitrata, astonishing characteristics, paraphernalia, qualities, and Leela. Through this vicious attempt, he is left with the philosophy of Nirvishesh Brahm.
Unless we accept this achintya bhav, this mood of wonderment, how is that transcendental reality going to if I'm not sort of wonderstruck by the amazing opportunity to connect with transcendence, that means I'm of a state when I think I know it all, when I think I understand what it is from a material perspective. If we try and use our material senses, etc., we cannot, by the potency of our own material senses, access that place of transcendence. The only way we can access that is by connecting with someone who is already transcendental and will invite us into that kingdom of Vrindavan or Goradam. Understand? And what is that qualification? That ivichrata, that astonishment. And we've said so many times, like a child lives in a world of astonishment everywhere they go because they're experiencing newer and newer truths. They haven't become totally conditioned socially in the world. Therefore, they're more liberated in their consciousness as far as their actual vision is concerned. They're more excited just to see the blue sky, the green tree, etc. That they can see that. It's astonishing for them. So similarly, that mood is a childlike, innocent conception of the consciousness of astonishment. But if we lose that achintya bhav, it's tragic. We should always be aware of that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about this quite extensively. This achintya bhav, chamatkara means astonishing. Krishna's pastimes are filled with astonishment. Astonishment means that I don't know the conclusion of the pastime from the beginning. If I'm going to listen to the pastime and I think that if I open Srimad Bhagavatam, think I've all read this before. I was telling one friend today that this Jaiva Dharma I've read honestly so many times, probably 40, 50 times I've read it from cover to cover, narrating it, editing it, proofing it, etc. And every single time we do a chapter together, I feel like I've never read it before. I feel like I've never appreciated that particular point or that particular point. This is called achintya. This is mean I'm looking at it, approaching it like I've never really seen it before. Like when Radhika meets Krishna, she thinks, who is this amazing boy? I've never seen him in my life. She only saw him an hour ago, but she's looking at him thinking, I've never seen this person, this extraordinary person. Even one time she becomes completely bewildered. She hears the flute sound, she sees a painting of Krishna, and she sees the actual form of Krishna and she thinks they're all different. And she feels she's completely unchaste. She's fallen in love with 3 different men. And she becomes beside herself in anxiety, wanting to commit suicide. But this reality of this living truth, it's completely astonishing, always. So you never actually conclude your journey. The journey's not concluded. It's always, because love itself has to be growing. Love is a verb, to love. It has to be evolving. Love is ecstatic, not static. It's always moving ahead. And it's moving ahead with the power of this enthusiasm or greed, lobha, and simultaneously with this mood of ivichrata, this mood of chamatkar, this astonishment, achintya bhav. This must be there for the bhakta to move ahead, to focus. Kande gyan hoye
Nandyanahaya
dharma
dharma
ache
achesunishchaya
sunischaya prakriti
prakritahaya
hoile kabu
lekabu
aprakritanaya.
aprakritanaya. Such base and contemptible gyan, which arises out of an attempt to dismember the divine form of Bhagavan, is only fit to be rejected. It is prakrita, materialistic, and should never be given credence as aprakrita dharma.
That sort of state of consciousness of going for the Nirvishesh Brahm is limiting the beauty and speciality of Krishna. Krishna is filled with variety and variegatedness in his pastimes, and we've just limited him just to a bright light filled with peace. That's what we have aspired for, probably for millions of lives. But now, by the mercy only of Sachinandan Gaurahari, only his mercy, giving us the potency of the holy name of the Lord. The holy name of the Lord is what's going to shatter those structures of Nirvishesh Brahm Gyan that we have erected in our consciousnesses. It's going to break it, it's going to purify it. So this holy name is utterly, this holy name, every mantra we chant is also filled with an astonishing speciality. Oh, I've chanted this before, I've chanted for so many years. Yes, I know Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Where is the juice in that type of chanting? But if I'm approaching it thinking, yes, I don't know, always that appreciation that I don't know these things. This is the danger when we become a little older as a devotee, and people will sort of have the impression that we know something. And perhaps the big illusion, we start to have the impression that, yes, I do know something. And then everything stops. The humility hasn't become, it is challenged, so to speak. Always consider who is the most humble in existence is Sri Radhika. We have to take this mood of absolute. It's like a musician. He's playing, and if he's playing the same thing all the time, but it's never hitting like a new conception, daily when he's playing, it would become quite boring. You're just going around and around. The musician is always aspiring for a new sound, a new tone, a new thought like that. So this is achintya, inconceivable, because it is inconceivable. It's inconceivable that we can aspire for such a high goal. And we've discussed so many times that previous to this age, then the predominating truths were the four Purusartas. That was the predominating truths. But Mahaprabhu has brought this conception of parakya. And somehow or other, by the mercy of the holy name and Guru, we've been able to accept this parakya conception. So now we come to chapter 12, Nitya Dharma and Sadhana. This sadhana is going to apply to Brajanath, who's the hero, who's going to be described now, the main character. And we'll read it and we'll unfold as we move along. So Sri Navadvip Mandal is supreme among all holy places of the world. It's very interesting because Bhaktivinoda Thakur begins many chapters with the same context of bringing us in to where we are. He starts on the first chapter, Burmandal, etc., comes right down and lands us in Godrum Dweep. And there's other chapters also where he brings us in to the actual location where we are. It's so brilliant, it's ingenious the way he does it. Sri Navadvip Mandal is supreme among all holy places of the world. Like Vrindavan, it covers an area of 32 square miles and is shaped like an 8-petaled lotus flower. It is Vrindavan. It's Gupta Vrindavan. It's the same as Vrindavan. Here is Radhakund. Here is the Jamuna. In the Ganga down here, there are at the Panchaveni, there are 5, 6 rivers. Actually, my Gurudev has saying that there's so many rivers coming in here, not just Saraswati, Narmada, and all these different rivers coming here. So many different rivers are there. So certainly Jamuna Devi is there on the western bank. We're on the eastern bank, on Godrum side. This is Ganga. The center of that lotus is Sri Antadvip, the core of which is Sri Mayapur. To the north of Sri Mayapur is Sri Simantadvip, where a temple of Sri Simantini Devi is situated. To the north of this temple is the village of Bilva Pushkarini, and to the south lies Brahmana Pushkarini. That area, which is located in the northern section of Sri Navadvip, is commonly referred to as Simulya. So that's the beautiful pastime when um, Durga Ma, she begs Lord Shiva's wife, Gauri, for Mahaprabhu's mercy. She sees her husband so intoxicated with Gora Ras, Gora Prem. And Mahaprabhu benedicts her with a darshan. And she takes the dust from Mahaprabhu's feet and she puts it in the part of her hair. This is called the Sindhu. You see, all married ladies have the Sindhu. So from this word Sindhu, it's come Simulya. This is why it's called Simulya. And actually, traditionally in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time, it stretched right around to include Nrsimhapali. Nrsimhapali seems today to be included within the island of Godrum, but with the changing direction of the Ganga, previously in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time, even 400 years ago, Nrsimhapali was actually a part of Sumulya. If you look at an old map, you'll see it there, not Godrum. But today because it's geographically located closer to the other places of Godrum. At the time of Mahaprabhu, Sumulya was the residence of many learned Pandits. The father of Sachidev, Sri Nilambar Chakravarti Mahashai, had also lived in this village. Now, not far from where Nilambara Chakravarti's house still stood, lived a Vedic Brahmana named Brajanath Bhattacharya. So that place of Nilambara Chakravarti is still there. We can go today. It's very nice, well kept, holy place that we can visit, and they'll always be welcome to visitors coming and seeing. Brajanath had been brilliant from his childhood. He had studied in a Sanskrit school of Bilba Pushkarini and he had become a superior scholar in the science of logic, Nyaya Shastra, that his ingenious and innovative arguments embarrassed and intimidated all the renowned scholars of Bilva Pushkarini. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is introducing us to a personality who's very, very bright and intelligent, because this person is going to ask the highest types of questions and conceptions to be cleared. And he's also having great familiarity with the Nyaya Shastra, which means that those subjects of debate, etc. This is basically what they are involved in, this Mimamsa Tattva Siddhanta, which they argue and debate about. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur wants to take us to the topmost conception, so he has to have a topmost personality to demonstrate that idea. It's like Sannyasi Thakur when he comes in the first chapter. He's a very educated Brahmagyani. He knows so much Shastra, etc. Bhaktivinoda Thakur uses him as an example of someone who can become influenced towards Krishna consciousness, even though they're in such a high scholastic state of mind. So Brajanath is the same. He's such a scholar, but even this scholar is going to be caught by the net of Mahaprabhu. And this whole chapter deals with that. He had studied in the Sanskrit school in Bilva Pushkarini and had become such a superior scholar in the science of logic, Nyaya Shastra, that his ingenious and innovative arguments embarrassed and intimidated all the renowned scholars of Bilva Pushkarini. Brahmana Pushkarini, Mayapur, Godrum, Madhyadweep, Amargat, Samudragar, Kulia, Purvastali, and other places. So this was his area of prowess. Wherever there was a gathering of pundits, Brajanath Nyaya Panchadanya would set the assembly ablaze with a barrage of unprecedented arguments. Among these pundits was a cruel-hearted logician named Nyayika Chudamani. How do you say that, Gokul?
Yaika.
Nyayika Chudamani, who was deeply mortified by the wounds he had received from the sharp blows of Brajanath's logic. This logician resolved to kill Naya Panchajanya, using the occult knowledge described in the Tantra Shastra, by which one can invoke another's death through mystical incantations. To this end, he moved into the crematorium ground in Rudradvip and began to utter death mantras day and night. Actually, this tantric science is very prominent here in Navadvip. You find even many of the Bengali devotees have had some experience with that those tantric mantras. If you cross over now today around the area of Rudradvip today, which is where he's been described, there are many tantrics living there now. This tantric science is a very potent science and has the capacity to actually distort the consciousness of anybody. It has great power in the psychic world. We were introduced to it by Digambar in the 9th chapter. When he comes to visit, he's proclaiming the prowess of Tantric Shastra, which is under the guidance of Durgama, the great mother. So she has potency, of course. You see Kali Maharaj, or Kali Devi, Kali Ma, with her tongue out. Have you seen that, Kali? Why has she got her tongue out like that? Because she's standing on her husband. Kali Ma was in great fit of rage and anger, and no one could stop her anger. So Shivji, her husband, decided to lie down in her track. She was walking in a completely stormy, angry mentality. No one could check her anger. Sparks were flying out of her body. And then Shivji, he lies down in front of her. And then Kalima, she places her foot on her husband's chest, and she suddenly realizes what she's standing on. She goes, ah, like that. That's why she has her tongue out. That's why she looks like that, because she's suddenly stopped in her tracks by her divine husband. And you'll see many, and Kalima will support the tantric invocations, etc. We'll see. It was Amavasya, the night of the new moon, and dense darkness pervaded all the 4 directions. At midnight, Naika Chudamani sat in the middle of the cremation ground, and called out to his worshipable deity, "O mother, you are the only worshipable deity in this Kali Yuga." This is Kalima he's calling. "I have heard that you become pleased simply by the recitation of a few mantras, and that you easily bestow benedictions upon your worshippers. O goddess with a terrifying face, this servant of yours has undergone tremendous hardship in reciting your mantras for many days. Please be merciful upon me just once. O mother, although I am plagued with many faults, you are still my mother. Please excuse all my faults and appear before me today." So this is a manifestation of this Naika Chudamani, his pratishta, his supreme fear of Brajanath. Brajanath has completely annihilated his various arguments. He's embarrassed him because he's shown his scholastic prowess in an assembly, and he's embarrassed this person, Naika Chudamani. And he so much wants to such a degree, we can understand it emotionally, to such a degree he wants to kill him. He thinks this is going to be the answer. So it's a very beautiful pastime that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has arranged to tell here. In this way, repeatedly calling out with cries of distress, Naya Chudamani offered oblations in the fire while uttering a mantra in the name of Brajanath Nyaya Panchajanya. How astonishing was the power of that mantra! The sky immediately became overcast with a mass of dense, dark clouds. A fierce wind began to blow, and deafening peals of thunder roared. Hideous ghosts and evil spirits could be seen in the intermittent flashes of lightning. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is showing us the reality of this. This is not just some imagined science. It's a reality. It's a material science, nevertheless, but it's still a material reality. With the help of the sacrificial wine, Chudamani summoned all his energy and called out, "O mother, please do not delay another moment." Just then, an oracle from the heavens replied, "Do not worry. Brajanath Nyaya Panchajanya will not discuss the Nyaya Shastra for long. Within a few days, he will give up debating and remain silent. He will no longer be your rival. Be peaceful and return home." Very beautiful, huh? Amazing. Pasta. I mean, Bhakti, it's almost we can appreciate its brilliance is not of an earthly level the way this book is constructed. It's channeled into the heart of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's an eternal grunter, so it's manifesting this way. When the Pandit heard this oracle, he became satisfied. He repeatedly offered pranam to Mahadev, the chief of the Devas, and the author of the Tantra. Yes, this Tantra is manifesting from Mahadev, and then returned to his own home. Brajanath Nyaya Panchanya. How do you say that? Go.
Panchanana.
Panchanana. Nyaya Panchanana had become a Digvijay Pandit, one who has conquered the four directions through scholarship. Dig means directions, Vijay means victory, victory in all directions, Pandit. At the age of 21, day and night he studied the books of the famous logician Sri Gangesh
Gangesh
Opadaya.
Upadhyay.
Huh?
Gangesh Upadhyay.
Gangesh Opadaya, who had initiated a new system of logic known as Navya Nyaya. Brajanath had found many faults in Kanabhata Siromani's Didita, which was celebrated commentary of Gangopadhyay's Tantra Chintamani, and he'd begun to write his own commentary. Although he never thought of material enjoyment, the word Paramartha, spiritual reality, never so much as entered his ears. So he was very renounced in his lifestyle, but he'd never contemplated what is the ultimate reality, what is the supreme spiritual. He was so engrossed in his own extraordinary prowess in the world of Nyaya and defeating so many people. He had all the um, uh, accomplishments to become a brilliant devotee, but yet he was involved, just like we see Mahaprabhu in his life as Nimai Pandit, when Nimai Pandit was acting as the scholar. And of course, on all the Vaishnavas, they all wanted him to become a Vaishnava, but Nimai Pandit was challenging them all with um, in different debates and so on, and defeating them. Where are we? Never so much as his single focus in life was to initiate logical debates using the concepts and terminology of Nyaya, such as avacheda, the property of an object by which it is distinguished from everything else; vyavachedata, exclusion of one object from another; gata, a clay pot; and pata, a piece of cloth. They just use these objects to establish different conceptions. While sleeping, dreaming, eating, or moving about, his heart was filled with thoughts about the nature of objects, the nature of time, and the peculiarity of aqueous and terrestrial properties. What's aqueous mean? Terrestrial or earthly properties? Water properties. One evening, Brajanath was sitting on the bank of the Ganga, contemplating the 16 categories propounded by Gautam in his system of logic, when a new student of the Nyaya Shastra approached him. Nyaya Panchanani Mahashai, said the student, you have heard Nimai Pandit's logical refutation of the atomic theory? Oh, have you heard Nimai Pandit's logical refutation of the atomic theory of creation? He's asking. Nyaya Panchananya roared like a lion. Who is Nimai Pandit? Are you speaking about the son of Jagannath Mishra? Tell me about his logical arguments. He's found something to challenge. That's what he's living for. The student said, oh, a great person named Nimai Pandit lived in Navadvip just a short time ago. He composed many innovative logical arguments related to the Nyaya Shastra and thus embarrassed Kanabhata Shiromani. During his time, there was no scholar equal to him in mastery of the Nyaya Shastra. Yet even though he was so adept at the Nyaya Shastra, he considered it quite insignificant. Indeed, he regarded not only the Nyaya Shastra, but the entire material world as trifling. Trifling means very small, useless. He therefore adopted the life of a wandering mendicant in the renounced order and traveled from place to place, propagating the chanting of Harinam. Present-day Vaishnavas accept him as Purna Brahm. That means the full Supreme Brahm, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they worship him with Sri Gora Hari Mantra. Sri Gora Hari Mantra. Nyaya Panchanana Mahashai, you must look into his dialectical arguments at least once. Excuse me. After hearing such praise of Nimai Pandit's logical reasoning, Brajanath Nyaya Panchananya became quite curious to hear his arguments. With difficulty, he was able to collect a few of those arguments from various sources. Human nature is such that when one develops faith in a particular subject, he will naturally feel regard for the teachers of that subject. Moreover, for various reasons, common people do not easily develop faith in exalted personalities who are still living, whereas they tend to develop great faith in the activities of Mahajans who have passed away. It's very true, huh? We don't have so much faith in that person who's walking around, but then when they leave their bodies, we proclaim them to be great saints and great preceptors, etc. This is often the case. Nyaya Panchananya developed unshakable faith in Nimai Pandit by studying his logical thesis. Brajanath would say, O Nimai Pandit, if I had been born during your time, there is no telling how much I could have learned from you. O Nimai Pandit, kindly enter my heart just once. You are truly Purna Brahm, For otherwise, how could such extraordinary logical arguments have come from your mind? You are undoubtedly Gora Hari, for you have destroyed the darkness of ignorance by creating such remarkable arguments. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mapping the faith that's going to be increasing in the heart of Brajanath. And it starts with his respect for his logical, rational arguments. It's coming in from that direction. This is like Jignasu, these four types of people who come to Krishna. This person who is seeking knowledge. Brajanath is that person who's seeking knowledge and he's inquiring. O Nimai Pandit, O Gaura Hari, please be merciful to me. When will I be able to create logical arguments like yours? If you are merciful unto me, there is no telling how great a scholar of the Nyaya Shastra I may become. So he's accepting him practically as his guru. Even though it's in the Nyaya Shastra realm, he hasn't come out of that realm yet because he hasn't met someone who is already out of that place. He hasn't met Raghunath Das. He's going to be his guru, who's going to pull him away from that place. He hasn't got that transcendental connection yet. So everything is in the material realm. Brajanath thought to himself, it seems to me that those who worship Gaurahari must also be attracted to Nimai Pandit's scholarship in Nyaya, just as I am. I should go to them and see whether they have any books that he has composed on Nyaya. Thinking like this, Brajanath developed a desire to associate with the devotees of Gauranga. He constantly uttered the pure names of Bhagavan, such as Nimai Pandit and Gaura Hari, and by desiring to associate with the devotees of Gaura, Brajanath earned tremendous sukriti. This is how we get this sukriti, this hunger, this desire to catch the precepts of the Mahajans, especially, of course, Mahaprabhu that we're talking about here. One day, while Brajanath was taking a meal with his paternal grandmother, he asked, Grandmother, did you ever see Gaurahari? Upon hearing the name of Sri Gauranga, Brajanath's grandmother nostalgically remembered her childhood and said, Aha, what an enchanting form he had. Alas, alas, will I ever behold his beautiful, sweet form again? Can anyone who has seen that captivating form ever engage her mind in domestic affairs again? When he performed Harinam Kirtan, absorbed in ecstatic trance, the birds, beasts, trees, and creepers of Navadvip would completely lose consciousness of the external world due to the intoxication of prem. Even now, when I contemplate these thoughts, an incessant flow of tears streams uncontrollably from my eyes and soak my breast. So we get a picture into Mahaprabhu's pastimes, how when he would have his intoxicating kirtan ras, the birds, the trees, all the properties around, all the um, living entities around would become so stunned and intoxicated with this prem that he was spreading. This was his potency. He is that prem purushottam, that distributor of prem, and we see it even here. Brajanath inquired further, do you recall any pastimes that he performed? Grandmother replied, I certainly do, my son. When Sri Gauranga would visit the house of his maternal uncle with Mother Sachi, the elderly ladies of our house fed him shak, spinach, and rice. He would praise the shak very highly and eat it with great prem. At that precise moment, Brajanath's own mother placed some shak on his plate. Seeing it and appreciating the serendipity of the moment, Brajanath became overjoyed. This is like his mind is open to this achintya mood that we've described earlier. He's looking for new horizons. Everything is like developing very quickly. So he's filled with this mood of achintya bhav, expectation of something absolutely wonderful. And he's seeing this shak in this way, just being put on his plate when his grandmother is talking about Mahaprabhu, how he would love this shak, and it's like an udipan, like an impetus for his faith. So he's overjoyed, this shraddha deepening this mood. At that precise moment, Brajanath's own mother placed some shak on his place. Seeing it and appreciating the serendipity of the moment, Brajanath became overjoyed. This is the beloved shak of the logician Nimai Pandit, he said, and ate it with the utmost reverence. Very beautiful. He's even taking the shak now, the spinach, with great reverence in honor of Mahaprabhu. Although Brajanath was completely lacking in transcendental knowledge of absolute reality, he became extremely attracted as Nimai Pandit's brilliant scholarship, out to Nimai Pandit's brilliant scholarship. Indeed, the intensity of his attraction could not be estimated. Even the name of Nimai was a delight to his ears. When mendicants came to beg alms, uttering Jai Sachinandan, he received them warmly and fed them. He would sometimes go to Mayapur, where he would hear the Babajis chanting the names of Gauranga. He would ask them many questions about Gauranga's triumphant activities in the field of scholarship and learning. Wonderful progress that he's going through. After a few months of these activities, Brajanath was no longer his former self. Previously, Nimai's name had pleased him only in connection with his scholarship in Nyaya, but now Nimai pleased him in all respects. Brajanath lost all interest in studying and teaching Nyaya, and no longer had any taste for dry arguments or debate. Nimai, the logician, no longer had any standing in the kingdom of his heart. Nimai, the logician, no longer had any standing in the kingdom of his heart, for Nimai, the devotee, had usurped all authority. How beautiful! How beautiful! This is the prediction of Naika Chudamani coming true. In the very beginning, we had he's going to be silenced. Now he's been silenced. Brajanath's heart would begin to dance when he heard the sound of mridanga and kartals. He would offer pranam within his mind whenever he saw pure devotees. He displayed great devotion towards Sri Navadvip, respecting it as the birthplace of Sri Gaurangadev. When rival pundits saw that Nyaya Panchadanya had become soft-hearted, they were very pleased at his condition. Now they could openly step out of their houses without fear. Naika Pandit thought that his worshipable deity had rendered Brajanath inactive, and there was no longer any need to be afraid. So, like Mother Kali, for example, in this instance, she inspires great faith within Chudamani, because this has actually come to pass. This is how faith is engendered in the hearts of the different personalities, because something will happen and their faith will be increased. One day, while Brajanath was sitting in a secluded place on the bank of the Bhagirati, he thought to himself, if such a profound scholar of the Nyaya Shastra as Nimai could renounce logic and adopt the path of bhakti, what fault would be what fault would there be if I should do the same? While I was obsessed with Nyaya, I could not apply myself to the cultivation of bhakti, nor could I hear nor could I bear to hear the name of Nimai. In those days I was so immersed in the Nyaya Shastra that I could not even find time to eat, drink, or sleep. Now I see things in quite the opposite way. I no longer contemplate the topics of Nyaya Shastra. Instead, I always remember the name of Gauranga. Still, even though the ecstatic devotional dancing of the Vaishnavas captivates my mind, I am the son of a Vedic Brahmana. I was born in a prestigious family and I am highly respected in society. Very beautiful. Bhakti Thakur is showing us. It's exactly the same with Sannyasi Thakur. Remember when he saw that Vaishnava dancing? He describes that a great, tremendous lift in Sannyasi Thakur's consciousness happened when he saw the Vaishnava dancing. But because of his prestige and feeling about his position as a sannyasi, he couldn't approach that Vaishnava. He was restricted by the material abhiman. His material identity held him back. So this is a lesson for all of us. We have to purify even our material identities on all levels to ultimately approach the Supreme and to understand our real identity, Jivera Sarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas, that I am a spirit soul. I'm not this person, this body, etc., with these material senses, this material body. I have to actually go beyond that place. And at some point, we have to give up all of these material conceptions if we want this truth to really begin to sprout and grow in the heart. um, where are we up to? In those days, yes. Where are we? Hang on a second. I now see things in the opposite way. I always remember the name of Gauranga. Oh, yes, sorry, yes, got it. Although I truly believe that the behavior and conduct of the Vaishnavas is excellent, it is inappropriate for me to adopt their ways outwardly. There are many Vaishnavas in Sri Mayapur at Kolabanga where Chankazi broke the mridanga. This is in Sriva Sangam. This is just up the road here, near Mayapur, yeah. Broke and stopped the Sankirtan, and at Vairagi Danga, the place of Vaishnava asceticism. I feel happy and purified at heart when I see the radiance of their faces. But amongst all those devotees, it is Sri Raghunath Das Babaji Mahashai who completely captivates my mind. When I see him, my heart fills with shraddha. I would like to be by his side continuously and learn the Bhakti Shastras from him. It is said in the Vedas,
आत्मा वा अरे द्रष्टव्यः श्रोत्रव्यः मान्तव्यो निदिदस्तव्यः.
Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad. One should see, hear about, think of, and meditate on the supreme absolute truth. In this mantra, the word mantavya means to be thought of, to be considered or examined, to be admitted or assumed, to be approved or sanctioned, or to be called into question. Although this word suggests that one should acquire Brahmagyan by studying the Nyaya Shastras, the word Shrotavya, to be heard or learned from a teacher, implies the necessity for something greater. So far, I have spent much of my life in useless arguments and debate. Now, without wasting any more time, I long to dedicate myself to the feet of Sri Gaurahari. It will therefore be most beneficial for me to go after sunset and take darshan of Sri Raghunath Das Babaji Mahashai. So we'll stop there for today. So we've covered a lot of ground. We've gone from Brajanath Panchanaya being a Nyaya Shastra, Nyaya Pandit of great renown, to him coming completely surrendered and wanting to take the mercy of the Vaishnavas now. So just in a short space of time, all this transition of his consciousness has happened simply by the name Nimai Pandit and Gauranga. By this name alone, it's inspired and purified his heart. So very wonderful to appreciate. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Jaiva Dharma ki jai. Isn't it amazing how Bhaktivinoda Thakur brings everything into the conception of Mahaprabhu's truths and topics? Everything is only focused on there. It's bringing us into that highest, because ultimately he's going to bring us into this understanding of what is the nature of Vrindavan, what is the nature of Parakya Bhav. All of this, we are going in this direction. This is the direction he's taking us. He's leading us there. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Itai Gaura Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Bol. Jaiva Dhamma ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Surabhi Kunj ki jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Bol. Avanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavya.